Live. Whee! Getting all set up here, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, buddy. Super excited. Oh, yeah. Can you say, go about things the wrong way? I am human and I need to know, much like everybody else does. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Welcome to the chat room. Let's get learning open, and then let's get cognitive thought open. Let's see what this has. Let's see. Huh. Okay. Alright. Yep, nobody's on yet. You know what? I'm gonna... Talking about politics. Excuse me. A little burpee boo. Just waiting to start. And for people to chat, you know. I should probably get a listerizer out here so I can list. What's this? Oh, one more blank page in this little notebook. So, learning. Mm-hmm. Tea to tire. And we can start anytime anybody's ready. Say hello. Do the thing. Jump on into chat, just talking about learning and memory, I'm going to talk to myself now. So, yeah. Looking good in the neighborhood. Deeper-deep-a-doo. Shoo-ba-deep-doop-doop. Oh, my favorite song is on right now. Under Pressure. Queen. David Bowie. Perfect. I think the dryer's done. That's good. It'll be less intrusive. What is about? Chat seems very empty. Hello, hello. Hello, loves. Boom. Some of you missed Murphy coming to school today. And for that, I'm sorry. I know. You could have seen the doggo, but you didn't. Unless you were in ECC 101. Oh, man. This has been the longest, 5 minutes. I know we said starting at 7:30, but, you can say things. You can say things, 12 people who are watching now. I can see you. I just don't know who you are. If you don't say things, this is just me talking to myself. You might be unfamiliar with Twitch, which is fine. Other people can say things. Yay, we have our first person in. Finally. Anya, welcome. That's a good question. Thorndike. What's your question about Thorndike? Are you also at work? Are you going to be on 15-minute delay? for his box, did the cat do a puzzle, or what did they have to do to get out? Well, it's a puzzle to a cat. They had to figure out how to get out. And in the illustration that I showed you, it's a pretty close approximation to what it was. They had to figure out that pulling a string, which was connected to a series of pulleys, would pull open the door. It's not something that cats do in their regular day-to-day lives. They're, sleeping, sometimes playing. But yeah, it was essentially a puzzle. It was a puzzle for a cat. They weren't doing a jigsaw puzzle, but it was a puzzle. I'm sorry you're at work, by the way. That stinks. But you gotta make money, I guess. Gotta make money somehow. So. Guess I'll switch my... Since you were the only one to ask a question so far, I will pull that one up in just a second. Where did I put that one? Yeah. I didn't open all of the PowerPoints like I did last time. Eventually, PowerPoint will open. And then I'll switch my views. I'll go in the corner. Or, I don't know where I'll be. I think I'll be right. I think I'll be like, right here? Something like that. Oh. There it goes. My cat would have too. Or the cat that I used to have, yeah. She would have as well. Okay. So, okay, cool. Instant stink replay. Great. Yeah. So it's a series of ropes and pulleys that they had to figure out. They had to get this I guess ring that was on a hook, and they had to unhook it and then pull it, and then the pulleys here would pull the door up so they could escape. They could escape. But I think we should also recognize here that it was a hungry cat. It's always a hungry cat. So hungry things are motivated. Motivated to act. Yeah. Good stuff. Where is everybody else, eh? I don't know. I used to be able to do this, but I have a mustache now. It doesn't even work with the rubber bit. Hey, Paige and Kate! Oh, I'm gonna have to... Okay, you guys just came in right at the same time. Alright. Kate. We will... Everybody's asking the questions. You can say hi. You can say hi before you ask questions. Goodness. Alright, one at a time. Alright, we're gonna do Kate first. Okay. Kate asks, could you explain the separation of episodic and semantic memories? Could you give an example of each of these type of memories? Yeah, that's a good question. So the separation of episodic and semantic memories has to do with, well, I don't really want to go into like crazy depth with it because that's what I do in human memory, the 300 level class. So I will say that semantic memories are things that you know regardless of when or how you learned it, where you learned it, what you learned, who you learned it from, or what you learned it from, okay? So all of that stuff is pulled out, and it's just the things that you know, okay? So all the other declarative memories then would fall into episodic. These are the past episodes of your life, okay? So an example of each, so an episodic memory would be, hey, what did I do today? Well, let's see. I taught class from 9 to 9:30 because we left early. And then I chatted with Max and Logan for a second, for a few, more than a second, a few minutes. And then I taught research methods, and then I had lunch, and then I taught ECC, and Astrid, Ellie, and Murphy came by toward the end of my ECC 101 freshman seminar class, blah, 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 blah. Okay, till now. Semantic memory is knowing certain things about that. So I know Max and Logan's names. I know who they are. I know my wife's name. Her name is Astrid. I know my dog. His name is Murphy. I know my daughter. His name is Ellie. Her name is Ellie. Oh my god. And so those would be semantic memories. Okay. So I hope that helps. It's things that you know, regardless of the space and time associated with it. Okay? Is semantic. All right, Paige, you are asking a question for learning, it looks like, on operant conditioning and schedules. Yeah, very good. All right, I can easily differentiate fixed and variable, but how can I easily differentiate fixed interval with fixed ratio, and differentiate between variable interval and variable ratio? Well, I guess what you're asking is, how do I get a fine-tuned feeling of all four? So fixed and variable, I'm glad you get the difference between fixed and variable. Either I have one single number, or I have a number that I try to average while I'm doing the schedule of reinforcement. That's good. Interval and ratio, I think, is what you're asking about. And so I'll say interval has to do with time. So if you go to, let me go ahead and pull one of those up. Actually, I'll bring back the chain one. And I think your book has really, really good... That's the wrong one. I'll leave it open. I think your book has really good examples of what various schedules look like. So I'm going to go back to the well here, and so I brought this one back this morning when somebody asked about chain scheduled. So don't look at anything down here. Just look at the numbers up here and what they're referring to. Okay, so variable ratio has just a number next to it. Okay, let me move the cursor just a little bit. So that's a 20. And because it's ratio, we're talking about number of times we see the response. So that 20 refers to this peck, okay, this 1R. And it's really peck in both cases, okay? So the 20 refers to the response. So on average, we're going to reinforce every 20 times. But because it's variable, we're going to converge around 20, but not always be 20. Sometimes it's 15, sometimes it's 25, sometimes it's 10, sometimes it's 30. But that number and the ratio, the R, refers to the number of times we see R occur. We observe R, okay? The peck, the response. So it's 20 times, on average, observing a peck response in this case, okay? interval has to do with time, as I said at the start here. So whenever you see an I, you're going to see a number, which represents, how much time, and then the unit of time. So is it seconds, is it minutes, is it hours, etc. Okay? And for fix, this is every 10 seconds regardless of how many pecks we observe. Okay? So interval is time-based, and so you'll always see, if expressed in this diagrammatic form, that time unit there, because that's what interval is referring to, the time. Whereas ratio is how many times are we counting, right? If we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, that is what we see here, okay? Does that help, Paige? Let me know. I can go further in detail if you'd like. All right, so Kerrigan is Baroness, right? Remind me? I believe so. Kerrigan, you are asking about Psych. Will you need to know the case studies? Definitely HM. Definitely HM. Hey, I actually, to be honest, I haven't made this quiz yet, so, and KC for sure, yeah. I don't tend to ask any questions about Clive Wearing, because it's a weird case. He was never really studied in the same way HM and KC were studied. So he never, as far as I'm aware, I mean, I could be wrong on this, but as far as I'm aware, Clive Wearing was only the subject of documentaries. He was never tested in the same way that you saw, that I explained HM was tested, and he was, and then the one clip I showed you of Kenneth Cochran being tested by Endel Tolving. So those two for sure, because they're like directly scientific. But good question. I got your name down, Kerrigan. Thank you. Jesse, which class are you asking? A question for both classes. All right, so let me write that down here. Jesse and Jesse. Okay. For learning, I was wondering if you could go over the schedules of reinforcement again. Okay. Jesse, did you catch what I was talking about with VR and FI? Because I can sort of jump back to that if you need to. So while you're answering that question, I will answer your CogSite question. Source monitoring errors. Sure. Source monitoring errors. Source monitoring. Oh, source. Yeah, so I'll come back to the schedules after we talk about source monitoring. All right. So a source monitoring error is essentially, is essentially not remembering or even misidentifying the source of a memory that you have. Okay, whether it be an idea, a quote, a scene, an image. All of these things can be features of source monitoring, and so the error just means that you've misidentified the source. Okay, where you got it from. Okay, or not remembering, because that's almost as bad. But not remembering can kind of go under cryptomnesia. So we'll say that though not malicious, source monitoring error is a bad thing. Okay, so the main example I gave of this is Jacoby's and colleagues 1989 becoming famous overnight. Okay, so to go quickly back through the method here. So everyone in the study went through an acquisition phase. So every single person who participated in the study went through an acquisition phase. They read non-famous names, okay? Before they started, though, they were randomly assigned to one of two groups. Either they were going to be the immediate test group, or they were going to be the delayed test group, which was 24 hours later, okay? In the immediate test group, they saw the names from the acquisition phase, what they were learning, okay? They also saw those old names. They also saw new non-famous names, okay? That's the main point of acquisition phase. There were non-famous names. I don't know if I said that. So they're non-famous names. So they had, in the test, they saw old, non-famous, new, non-famous, and new famous. And the question was, is this person famous? Okay? And they were pretty good. They didn't really make many mistakes. You know, a random error here and there, but non-famous was identified as non-famous, and famous was identified as famous. Okay? The real trick, the real source monitoring error, comes from the delayed test group. Okay? They got the same exact test. It was just 24 hours later. Okay, so after a period of sleeping, etc. Okay, so old non-famous, new non-famous, new famous. All they had to do was identify if this person was famous or not. They were really good at that middle one, the new non-famous. They're like, oh, that's a non-famous person. And they were really good at identifying actual famous people. They were pretty good at it. Oh yeah, that's was 1989. I don't know, Arnold Schwarzenegger, sure. The one that they had struggles with were the old non-famous names. They had this feeling of familiarity with those names that they couldn't quite put their finger on. So they misidentified those names as famous. Okay, they said Joe Schmo was a famous person because they saw them a day before, but they couldn't remember that's where the name appeared. And so this study, and it has been replicated, the study shows that even just one period of consolidation gives you a feeling of familiarity, right? So if you study the night before a test, that things might feel familiar to you when you get the test, even if you don't actually know how to apply or transfer the information. You're going to have a feeling of familiarity, which is why that trips people up on recognition tests like this. Okay, this is a recognition test. And multiple choice tests, because they're like, oh man, these two answer choices are really pinging my familiarity right now. Okay. On this one, it's an error because those people weren't famous. Okay, they weren't famous at all. Okay. Okay, back to schedules of reinforcement. Schedules. Okay, I'm gonna use this, Jesse, for my elaboration. So, like I said in class, this is a really important This is a really important graph to know. Okay. Interval and ratio are the big differences that I want you to get. Okay, because I think you can understand fixed and variable as I mentioning to Paige. Okay, so fixed and variable, I think we're on the same level. It's just ratio and interval that are the issues. Okay, and so Ratios are number of times the response is observed, and interval is the the amount of time that that we're focused on. So you can see from the graphs here that with fixed schedules, whether it be ratio, interval, duration, whatever, okay, you get this pause feature, okay, these dips. I even refer earlier in the slideshow, you can see fixed interval has what are called scallops. It's not really represented on here. Oops. And these should be really more scallopy than they are, but it's fine. And you get these dips or pauses because the organism knows exactly what game you're playing. Okay? Because you have fixed, if we are looking this as time elapsing, okay, from left to right, on any of these, if I get what game you're playing, I'm going to respond right before you're about to respond heavily, right? And the y-axis here is intensity of response. I'm just going to do the thing that you want me to do right before you're about to give it to me, okay? And so you see this no responding until right before you're about to give it to me, okay? So it's very slow. It's like, yeah, I'm doing it. Or maybe I'm not even doing it at all, and then I'm like, all right, now I'm going to do it, okay? Fixed interval is a similar situation. Since I know how often you're going to do it, you're going to reinforce me, I'm just going to do it right at the end, okay? Variable, I don't know what game you're playing, actually. So I'm never going to pause. And because variable ratio, I don't know how many times you want me to do it before, how many times you want me to respond, I'm just going to keep responding. And then eventually I'm going to get, rewarded somehow, or reinforced somehow. So that's why variable ratio is so powerful. That's why I'm going to stick a quarter in that slot machine constantly. Ooh, penny slots, you know, just putting those pennies to use, right? I don't know when jackpot's going to hit. I have no idea. It's random. It's a huge amount of numbers. It's like, 1 in some thousand, 10,000, 100,000. Okay? That's this right here. That's the 1 in, it's playing the lottery, 1 in 292 million right here. Okay? You think of this as playing the lottery. I'm going to keep playing. I'm going to win. 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 Oh, I finally won. Okay. Variable interval, that's just, I'm going to reinforce at a random but average time. Okay. And so you see the steady rate of responding. Okay. So the learning occurring. And since I don't know what the time period is in responding, I'm just gonna keep doing it. Eventually, gonna get it. Okay. All right. All right. Stephanie is for cognition. All right, Stephanie asks, for cognitive psych, can you explain episodic buffer? Yeah, episodic buffer is everything. It's in the long-term to short-term or long-term to working memory hopper. It's what you have accessible at any given time. So it's like a holding pattern for long-term memory stuff. Okay, and it's called the episodic buffer because it's long-term memory stuff about you. Okay. Okay. So and that's really all I want you to know about that. All right. So, Aaliyah, differentiate between retroactive and proactive. So I'm assuming you're talking about interference. So the differentiation comes in what is being interfered with. Okay, so remember porn, okay, proactive old. So proactive interference is old information interfering with new information. Okay, so is any of the new stuff that you are trying to encode going to interfere or is only going to get interfered with? The old stuff is going to interfere. Let me restart that one. So proactive is any of the new stuff that you are trying to store up in here, encode and store, is the stuff that you already have in there going to impact it. Because I will always go back to the idea of saying that memory is what actually happened plus emotions, expectations, experiences, etc. So that's all that old information that you have jumbling around up here. So is any new information going to get screwed up by that, right? So I think that's a good way to look at proactive. Retroactive, on the other hand, is the opposite. Okay, so retroactive, new. Okay, new information interferes with old information. You want to remember the old information. You want to be able to retrieve that stuff. Okay, and so that new information is really messing things up. Okay, it's really jumbling it all up, and you can't remember, or you're having difficulty differentiating what you knew previously to what you're trying to encode now. Okay, so porn, 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 porn. That's what I got. That's what I got for you. And so in porn, the second letter of the proactive old, retroactive new, is the thing that's interfering. Okay, interfering with the opposite letter. Okay, so old with new with old in the whole porn acronym. Okay. All right. So hopefully that helps. Okay. All right. All right, Kat. I think Kat, you're next. Learning. Learning. Incentive, motivation. I have the example of playing video games for the fun of it, but I'm not sure how to apply it otherwise. So incentive motivation is an addition to drive reduction theory, because drive reduction theory only really applies to physiological drives. But we are motivated, and so in a broader sense, we could take this idea of motivation, because many times neuroscientists will teach motivation and learning together in a class. So not the way that we do it at Eureka, but in a sense that the entire class is about motivating behaviors and then operant conditioning because they're motivating, etc. All the way. And so, from a motivation standpoint, drive reduction theory only explains physiological drives because it has to do with an aversive state of needing to be motivated. Okay, because so when you're thirsty, you become uncomfortable because you need water. You become uncomfortable when you're hungry, so you will be motivated to eat. Okay. Excuse me. So, from a motivation standpoint, drive reduction theory only captures those physiological drives. And so incentive motivation was added to it to encapsulate drive reduction theory in the sense that there can be external reasons for having motivating behavior and doing stuff. Because operant conditioning is based on voluntary behaviors, and so what are the incentives? What can be incentivized? Well, that's anything external that we find value in, we find rewarding, that makes us feel better, makes us feel good. Okay, so the example of playing video games just for fun, many people do that because they find it rewarding. They like it. Okay. Hold on 1 second, sorry. Oh, no, okay. Alright. Sorry. So, you can actually apply incentive motivation for, working to get paid, working for experience, any sort of externalized motivating factor for incentive motivation. Okay. Okay, Brianna, I like your handle there. Be kind 19, for sure. Okay. Meta memory. Meta memory is meta. So meta memory is our memory for the systems of memory. The fact that we have memory, that we know that we have memory and we can go back to memory, okay? So it's called meta memory because it's essentially our knowledge, which really is our memory of things we've stored, semantic memory of memory. So it's that we know we have memory, we can use memory, and that memory is something that benefits us. We know that we can use. Okay. Okay, Rihanna. Rihanna has question. Oh, I put that down in the wrong class. Hang on, Rihanna wants phonological loop. Yeah, sure. Phonological loop is that subsystem of working memory that handles verbal and auditory information. Okay. Because we are we're primarily a verbal species, a lot of the information we encode is in verbal, is in verbal coding. Okay. We haven't gotten to imagery yet, but I will say that in addition to coding images, okay, through manipulating images in our brain, we also manipulate words. Okay. So I'm one of those people that hear the words in my head when I read them. Okay, I hear the words in my head. I've met some people who could. I'm apparently in a minority that does this, but they don't hear the words when they get read. But I hear the words that get read. According to Badley's working memory model, I am activating a bunch of my phonological loop while doing that. Okay, so it makes me less able to handle other verbal information. Okay, I cannot listen to something with words and read at the same time effectively. Certainly not fiction. I cannot read things and listen to somebody talk to me at the same time, especially if it's important, of course. So that's what the phonological loop is doing. It's handling all of that verbal and auditory information. So I can use it, right? Also, some people think I'm weird when I say that I hear the words, and for a long time I thought that's how it worked, but it's apparently not how it works. Most people don't, and I think you're all weird. Those people who don't hear the words in their heads when they read, I think you're crazy. Or am I the one that's crazy? I guess the world may never know. All right, I finally caught up. I caught up to all of everyone. Oh my goodness. I'm so pumped. That's a big yawn. It's bedtime soon. So I'm caught up with all the questions. Everybody in COG that's watching / will be watching later the VOD of this, don't forget to bring snacks. We get to watch the stunning conclusion of Rashomon. Doodly-doo. Doodly-doo. I skipped it, Kerrigan, so I am not going to go on behavioral bliss point. I skipped it on purpose. As a non-behaviorist, I thought to myself, do I really want my students to know this one? And I said, no. So it's in the slides that I posted because I thought I was gonna go over it, but you know what? I'm like, no, I'm not gonna go over it. It's lame. All right, hey Katie. So Premack principle. Yeah, it probably auto-corrected you. So the idea behind the Premack principle is that essentially, does it always have to be a stimulus that is a reinforcer? Or could it be other behaviors? And the answer to that, according to the Premack principle, is it can be other behaviors. So, because operant conditioning is all about the probability of future behavior, we can say that any low probability behavior, that is, if I do nothing about increasing that behavior, it's always going to remain a low probability behavior. Can I increase it somehow? Well, I can do other things in order to increase it according to the Premack principle. So I'm going to if I'm going to work, well, a high probability behavior that I could use to increase my work is to play, because the outcome of working is having money, and so that'll allow me to play more, but you don't have to ask me twice to go play, right? To go do fun things, to go to the zoo, to go water skiing, to I don't know, go bowling, to play video games, whatever. You don't have to ask me to do that. I don't have to be reinforced to do that. Those are motivating because they're fun. And so those as high probability behaviors can increase me doing low probability behaviors, like going to work, because let's face it, most people aren't going to go to work if they don't have to, right? So, what's this whole retirement thing, right? I'm not going to go to work anymore. So, but in order To increase it, I need to attach it to a high probability behavior, and that high probability behavior is playing. Okay? In order to get all the benefits of playing, I need to work, because I'm going to get that sweet, sweet cash from working, so I can go play more. Okay, so that's the Premack principle. I don't actually need the money. Playing and working can go together because of the probability of their behaviors. But the Premack principle, even without that example, at the basic level of the Premack principle, is that other behaviors can be used as reinforcers. Okay, and Kerrigan, I don't know if you should phrase it as a knowing less things. I think you should just say that you are fine with putting that aside for now. Because we don't want to conflate knowing less things and ignorance, right? Right? Boo-da-da-ba-boo. This is some good news today. Totally apropos of nothing. Just waiting for somebody to ask another question. Ollie at school was placed in this like accelerated learning program. Was it accelerated? I feel like it was remedial. I think remedial was more like a remedial learning program for math and reading. I think it's called like Waterford. I don't know if any of you are familiar with it. If you're familiar with any of the K through 12 stuff in this region. And he was put in that program based on an electronic score on a computer program. Found out today that that was false positive on that. He doesn't have to do those remedial things anymore. So, and he was actually losing class time because he had to go do those in a separate room. And he's just too freaking smart. So, if I just thought myself. So, I'm glad that he doesn't have to do that because I'll tell you what. He's constantly counting to 100. And it's driving us crazy. So, yeah. So that's a bit of good news coming home. What else did I do today? Oh, had a very good IRB meeting. It was fun. Then I chatted with Chappie for a little bit. That's always good. We're gonna try to make Say Zone training at Eureka quite a bit more robust. Definitely need to do that. Yeah. Boo boo. Where'd everybody go? Ah, there we go. Max! Hello, Max. Conjunctive schedules and change schedules different? That's a good question. I kind of feel like they're not, but it depends on what you're talking about. So, conjunctive schedules are primarily two. And you generally not more than that. Chains, you might be going more than two. You might be going 3 or 4 or 5. Depends on how complex the behavior you wanna teach. So I mean that. Let me pull it up here. I know it says 2 or more, but honestly, it's usually 2. But now that I'm looking at my my text again, conjunctive is one reinforcement, whereas chained, multiple reinforcers at every level of the chain, because the reinforcer acts as the chain. Okay. Conjunctive, requirements must be met before a reinforcer is delivered. Okay. Requirements must be met. Okay. So, in my example that I used in class, is that you have to go to work. Right? You actually have to go there. But you can't just stick your thumb up your butt while you're there. In order to get paid, you actually have to do the work, right? So, that's the conjunction part. Okay? You can even add a third level to this and say going to and doing work and doing it well to get wages, which is the final reinforcer for doing all of those things. Because what happens if you don't do them well? I mean, just going to and doing the work isn't always sufficient. You have to do it well, otherwise you're going to get fired, right? Fired for a real reason. So did that help? Did I explain the difference? One reinforcement for conjunctive, multiple reinforcements because they serve as the... Oops, clicking on the wrong thing on my computer here. And in chained, the reinforcers act as part of the link. Okay. Just want everyone to know that I am listening to the boss right now. Dancing in the dark. Maybe I should turn off all the lights and then start dancing. You know, I think if you're watching, you should be making a GIF of me. I think I'd like that. Huh. All right. Oh, hello. About 10 more minutes of this fun time, sugar fun time. Yep. Yeah. So did you all know that it was Indigenous Peoples Day today? And if you really wanted to know more about Indigenous peoples, there's a really cool map. So I was looking today on this map. And obviously one of the tribes and nations that lived around here was the Peoria tribe. Peoria, Illinois, right? Also the Sioux. Okay, Sioux. Sioux as opposed to Sue. Yeah. And the language that many of them spoke, get this. Wait for it. Wait a little bit more. Illinois. Wow. Wow. This map also had the cessation agreements, or session agreements that these nations gave to the United States so the United States could have the land. Yeah. Yeah. Fuck Christopher Columbus. Oh, I'm sorry, I should have made this explicit. Yeah. A friend had a good post about it on Facebook. I think he's gonna post it every year now. It'd be good. It's good. I think Illinois needs to get with the program and, first of all, rename the day from Columbus Day to Indigenous Peoples Day, like Oregon, California, a few other states. And stop giving kids days off for it. Yeah, that's right. You heard me. No more days off. For what? Why is there a day off? Just call it fall break. Also, there is no fall break holiday in California at California colleges and schools. I gotta tell you what, I never got this fall break until I came to the Midwest. Come on now. But I won't lie, they're nice. They're very nice. Well, I guess everybody decided to drop off now. Alright. You all make me sad, so be it. I'm kidding, you don't make me sad. You know, I don't know what I'm saying. What am I saying? Nobody's saying anything. Nobody's saying things in chat. Say other things in chat. Come on, you don't have, this doesn't have to be just business. You all make me sad. You can ask me questions about my life. You can ask me questions about your life. You know. You know. Cognition, bobition, banana fana fission. Oh, man. Let's see. Who came out tonight? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And nope. About 10 people came out. That's not bad. I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see what happens. You know. I guess we'll see what happens. Switching back to just face cam, you know. Hanging out. With my pillow. I can't point well. There we go. With my pillow. My furry brown pillow. And then one of the kids' bouncy balls. They had 2 once. One was red. And Murphy popped the red one. She was down here. So evidence of Ellie being down here. Yeah. Maybe we should start playing a video game. Any last questions, you 4 viewers? Ooh, good times. Morrissey's playing now. Should have said that I was listening to All Out 80s on Spotify. You know what's been great? Spotify Premium. Yeah. Hoodly doodly doo. Yeah, I like how my microphone makes a little nub on this black area here. This black area. I can't. There we go. This black area. Whee! It's gonna be a great. It's gonna be great. Gonna be a great pod. Probably tell all my students just to watch up until like 50 minutes, cause there ain't anything left. Okay. You know, I like the first Twitch one that we did. Everybody was like super chatty in the chat, and it was fun. And what happened to that, everyone? Mike's my style. Ah, one last question. Rihanna is asking about the reminiscence bump. Sure. So that's in the course of your life, you are likely going to have the strongest memories. By the time you're older, of course, you're going to have the strongest memories for the period between 10 years old and 30 years old. Okay? And like the detail of those memories is going to be significant compared to memories in your 50s and 60s to memories pre 10 years old. And there are a few explanations that I said apply to this, but they all seem to converge on the fact that lots of important things are happening in your life between the ages of 10 and 30, whether it's, the cognitive hypothesis, the life script hypothesis, or anything else, okay? Important things are happening, and so when important things are happening, our minds are tuned to that. That's where our attention is. That's what we're encoding, and they get encoded and retrieved, encoded and retrieved, encoded and retrieved. And so the more often that you do that, the more you get all of the details. Now, they're never going to be exactly how it happened, and the details might start to drop off as you get older, but this reminiscence bump is for that period of time when there's significant change in our lives. Okay? I think... Thanks for saving the end of the stream there, Rihanna. That was very good. Very good. Because I was just... That was 10 minutes of me flailing. 10 minutes of just going... That's a GIF right there. That's a GIF right there. Should probably do that. I can make one. I don't know. Oh, I probably could. Probably should. With what time? With what time, Dr. Swan? I don't know. I don't have the time. Now the pretenders are on. Pretenders. Proclaimers. Alright. Proclaimers. Best singers with thick Scottish accents. All right. Final call for questions. Final call for questions. I'm going to stay up here for another 2 minutes. Final call for questions. This is our final call for questions. If you have a question, you should ask it in the next 2 minutes. If I go, well, I know I'm gonna be. What's great about this 500 miles is that they use a Scottish phrase called haver. It's good stuff. I'm havering. I'm havering for you. Havering. Havering for you. Okay, I think that's it. I'm gonna go ahead and close the stream here, okay? I hope everyone had a good time. Again, this is going to be available as a VOD afterward for the next 14 days, and that'll be on YouTube. Alrighty. Thanks, everybody. Toodly-doo. Good night.